Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here. Welcome. This is the women's game. We are live. It is just moments after the final whistle of the USA versus China friendly. The U.S. women's national team beat China 3-0 with a dominant performance from veterans and newbies alike. I'm so happy to be joined here by my friend, Meghan Klingenberg, Pittsburgh native, World Cup winner, and NWSL champion Kling. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. Glad to be back. Seems like we made a splash last time and had to come back and hang out with my friend Sam.
Oh my gosh, I'll say Kling was a fan favorite. We are so honored and excited to have you back. I do need to tell everybody, for the big TWG fans, Kling and I were just backstage talking about how we hope Avery is here for the call-in. So everybody hang on tight. We'll get to that in just a bit. We're going to react to this game. We're going to have Kling answer all of our questions. If you haven't been here before, this is the show tonight. It's a TWG Live, which means you, our listeners, are here with us live. You can ask us questions about football or life. Here's how. Just scan the QR code in the top left of your screen. That will take you into a Zoom with our producer, Sophie, who will get you set up to ask your question. It is audio only, so don't be afraid. Your face is not going to be on screen with me and Kling. We'll get to your questions later in the broadcast, but go ahead and get in line now. Hopefully you're beating Avery to the punch. Otherwise, Avery is our first guest always. For those of you who don't want to ask a question, do us a huge favor. Give us a like. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and join us on this channel. I see some of you in the chat already. Alyssa is also shouting out Avery. So is Nathan. We love Avery. Brianna's very excited to see Kling. We're all very excited to be here. This is going to be awesome. Okay, we're going to get to your questions in just a few minutes. But Kling, let's get right into it. First and foremost, heading into this game, I want to set the stage a little bit. I don't want to forget this U.S. women's national team was coming off a loss against Brazil from the last international window. And I also want to keep in mind that many of these players are now mid-NWSL season. They should be kind of firing on all cylinders. A few are coming off the tail ends of their European seasons. Fallon Telles, Joyce, and Lily Johannes are even coming off of World Sevens performances. It's a lot of soccer Kling. How can this team kind of have like a collective mindset in this camp with so many players in different places physically?
It must be difficult, but honestly, when I was watching, I didn't see any type of like they seemed very cohesive. Yeah, the disconnect was not there. Everyone looked super fit, super played in, super committed to the game plan, and it was honestly such a joy to watch. When I was watching, I was like, holy cow, it is such a joy to watch such good players, especially when they're playing at the top of their game. And I felt like they really did that tonight.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh. I love when the US women's national team plays well. My job is literally so easy. Notoriously, Kling, like the first time I was doing these shows was during the 2023 World Cup. And it was just like a really difficult time to be talking about the team, trying to be positive, trying to like figure out what was going on. And so nights like tonight, I'm like, what a great all right, let's talk about the lineup heading into this game. There are a few things to get into here. Fallon Telles Joyce, fresh off winning the Golden Glove in the WSL, placing second in World Sevens with Manchester United, starts in goal. And Kling, this is like the hot topic of conversation. This is on the spot for goalkeepers on everybody's mind since Alyssa Nair retired. I feel like all I ever talk about anymore is the open goalkeeper position after the retirement of Alyssa Nair. You have been a part of big goalkeeper transitions for this U.S. women's national team. What do the goalkeepers who are in camp right now, and even maybe some of the girls in 23's camp, some of the girls at home, there are players vying for this spot. What do they need to keep in mind over the coming months, do you think?
Well, first of all, it's such a different position than field player. You have maybe one shot at it because Alyssa Nair's in goal. She's going to be in goal for 10 years, however long she's in goal, right? It's going to be Alyssa Nair. And you don't get a shot. You're just on the bench and you're having to try and prove yourself in practice. But then they're like, oh, well, you don't have experience in the big games, but you can't get experience unless you're given the experience. It's like this really weird catch-22 that these players are in. And now that Alyssa has retired, it's kind of a free-for-all. It's like, okay, who's going to be the player that steps up and does the things that Emma wants and that the team needs? I feel like you have to be good with your feet at this point. You have to distribute really well with your hands and your feet and be able to make game-changing saves whenever the USA defense needs you to. And we're not really going to see that so much today from goalkeeping because I just don't think China was up to the level that the USA really needed to be able to evaluate a goalkeeper. And with that said, I still think that Tolstoy's performance was quite good.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think, and this is something that it's so much more evident to me now as an outsider to the team, which feels so weird to say, but it's like goalkeepers and everybody are getting evaluated off of their club performance. That everybody can see that, everybody can watch that. But the thing that it sticks out to me is they're also getting evaluated at training, which we don't get to see. And it's like for the goalkeepers who are in camp right now, Fallon, Mandy McLean, and Claudia Dickey, yes, their club performances is what got them called in, but then they're doing goalkeeper training. Then they're doing training with the back line. Then they're doing training with the goalkeeper coach. Emma's watching them there with a different amount of detail and in a different way. And now being in the media, we don't get to see that. So we're like going, well, she did great for Manchester United or she's doing great for Seattle, but we don't have like all of the information. And that's like so hard to make a judgment. But I do agree that Fallon, looked solid today. She's looked solid for Manchester United. It's just we're like missing that detail. How much do you think we're missing? Like, is it a whole nother story that the media and the outside doesn't get to see?
Oh, totally. And I also think it's really tough for a head coach to choose a goalkeeper in general because as a field player, I'm always like, what are they doing over there? Look at them doing their kicks and their jumps and their
Ha,
yeah,
ha,
exactly. I'm like,
ha.
what are they doing over there?
I don't know.
Exactly. We have no idea what they're actually doing. And don't let anybody tell you that they actually do unless they're a goalkeeper and they're like in it. Because
They never tell you anyways.
we played like 20 years and I still don't know what they're doing over there. So as a head coach who I'm sure isn't super involved in the goalkeeper training, you're very much relying on your goalkeeper coach's evaluation as well. Because I mean, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what makes a great goalkeeper.
I
And
don't either.
like I can tell you in the moment, I'm like, wow, that is a great goalkeeper right there. That's a great save. And at the same time, I couldn't tell you what they did to make it great, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I know. I think to me, it's like only obvious with like a glaring error. Like if they come out and miss a cross, then you're like,
Really.
well, she shouldn't have come out. She didn't get it. Or if the ball goes through her legs, you're like, well, that was a mistake. But
Exactly.
I know exactly what you mean. Judging the performance and the quality of the goalkeepers is harder for me as an outsider, but also as a non-goalkeeper. So you know what? I really like Fallon. We actually have an interview with her coming out on Tuesday, and I'm so
Love
excited
that.
for everybody to hear it. Did you know that she loves marine biology?
I had no idea. And
Clang, you got to go on her
honestly,
Instagram.
I'm not kind of surprised. Like just seeing her in the league and stuff, I could see it.
She's like so cool. I really love talking to her. So everybody stay tuned for that. It's going to drop on Tuesday. Okay, back to the game. Fallon in the back line, we're like kind of under pressure early for a second. Some of my initial notes of the game was like, wow, China's pressing high. They have so many numbers forward. But I think, once like the first couple of plays of the game, we got through that. Them sending numbers high left their back line so isolated. Their back line was high. So when we solved pressure, there was so much space. We were able to advance quickly. 17-year-old Lily Johannes plays at Ajax in the Netherlands, was off to a really great start. We were texting about this, Kling. She was winning balls. She was playing longer passes, making runs forward. I'm curious, Kling, what you think of Lily, but also what you think of the midfield pairing of Sam Coffey, Lily Johannes, and Lindsay Heaps.
Well, the pairing I loved. I thought it was great. I think one of the things that I really loved about the pairing is that even though I don't think China was up to snuff to be able to keep up with the USA, the midfield was still playing at full speed. And there
Yeah.
was times where the ball would be coming in, rifled into Lindsay Horan's feet. She would one touch it perfectly with it like great texture and weight back to Sam Coffey, who would then play it in behind on a dime to somebody's run. And it's like, okay, if a team isn't up to snuff, a lot of times teams will just like get the ball in the midfield, turn, and then play it over and then just see what the running game does against a high line like that. But we had fast players, and also we were playing so fast through the midfield with like a back through passes that China had no chance. And so it gave our strikers an even better opportunity to create when they got into that attacking third. And that was really fun to watch.
I totally agree. I agree that I like the pairing. They're all quality players. I think the one thing for me is that, to me, they're all such great passers, but I still miss like a dribbler, like a 10, like a Rose Lavelle. Like, I still am looking for just that like crafty dribbler magician. And I'm not saying that Sam, Lily, and Lindsay can't be that, but I think when we're thinking like player profile, to me, they all are giving like passer. And I love that. And I think, to your point today, our ball movement through the midfield was really, really great and set us up for success. Speaking of Lily, an expert passer, as I have been saying, she kind of got the ball back off of a short corner we played. This is around the 21st minute. She played this beautiful, like, curling direct ball right onto Lindsay's head. Lindsay ended up being offside, but it was like a good early chance for us and a sign to me of that good connection between those two midfielders. And also, again, of Lily's great passing ability. And as a midfielder, you're timing that pass based on several factors, but one of them is playing it in a timely manner so that the player on the receiving end isn't offside. And one thing we do have to talk about is that we had a lot of offside calls, especially early in this game. Kling, do you think that's like a lack of discipline on our end? Or was it more just like China was playing such a high line, we had to push it, and it's just like part of the game?
Really, Sam, let me just get something on my chest real quick. First of all, that is a personal pet peeve when
I was like, what is she going to say right now?
when as a defender, you do all of this work to get the ball into a place where we can then attack behind the back line, like their back line, and our forwards are offsides more than twice. Like, I'll give you one or two, but when it starts to become a habit, that used to kill me because we just do all of this work and then they get this free out.
I know.
It's crushing.
hear
It's
ya.
crushing, Sam.
Well, I hear you, and I have like really vivid memories of getting yelled at when we were offside too much. And to me, it was this feeling of like it's a lack of discipline with Tony Gustafsson, with Vlatko. I remember really being like, "Oh my God, do not be offside." That's a lack of discipline. I think in this instance, it did feel like China was playing an unusually high line.
Truly.
And so, like, I get it, but you tell me more. Personal pet peeve aside, what else did you see from this, like, tactically?
I do think too, like we're seeing Macario come back into game shape, game
Yeah.
thinking. Like we're just seeing her starting to come into her own. And I think this is part of it. Timing is one of the last things that comes when it when you're working back in
Yeah.
after an injury, working back in after time out of the game. That's one of the last things is that timing, especially when you haven't been with this US women's national team
Yeah.
for an extended period. So I think that was part of it there. And then you're just kind of not used to seeing this super high line, which I'm not even sure they necessarily scouted because I was surprised that China played like that literally the entire game. I'm like, did we not learn anything from half? Are we not going to make any tactical changes whatsoever? Guess not. But yeah, I think I'll give a little bit of a pass in the sense of, hey, Macario is coming back into it. These forwards haven't necessarily played with this midfield and like for an extended period. So I think that timing aspect is the last piece that links up between like a midfield line and a forward line.
Yeah.
And it's still my personal pet peeve.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kling, I'm just here to really rile people up about their personal pet peeves. So when I saw this happening, I was like, let's dig at this one and let's get Kling talking about it. Okay. China had like a few like far in between. Is that the right saying? Far in between? Far, whatever.
I can't even help you. I don't know.
A few infrequent chances, one of which they kind of had this chance. Fallon cleaned it right up. It was really no big deal. We're still in the first half. Moments later, we're back in control. Sam Coffey played Michelle Cooper down the line, who crossed it. There was a bit of a scramble. Alyssa Thompson kind of got to it. The ball kind of squeaked out. Cat Macario chased it down, tapped it in. I wouldn't say it was the prettiest final product. Good goal for Cat, and also a good build-up goal. Kling, you texted me after this goal about the quality of our crossing, so I want to hear your kind of breakdown of this goal.
Yeah. Well, there was two really big things that I thought we did really well this game, and they kind of go hand in hand, and crossing was one of them. So we picked our head up and we picked people out in the box. I think more in the first 60 minutes than the last 30. But what we would do is we got calm in those last
Yeah.
instances when a lot of players and a lot of teams think, oh, wow, this is my chance. This is my opportunity. I got to put it here. I got to do this. And we kind of tighten up sometimes. But the USA didn't
Yeah.
do that. They really picked out great options. And the second piece of that, one of the reasons why we were successful is because we played these incredible through passes, whether it was an up, back, and through, whether we worked it in like little passing situations and had a slipped pass where we then got past their outside back and then their center backs had to then come out and pressure. And whenever you get a team to get their center backs to move out of the center, boom, center back has to go pressure the dribbler. The other center back has to come across to the front post. And then the outside back is kind of like, oh crap, I have to cover this
The
entire
whole goal.
goal.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened on the first goal. So they crossed it. The outside back came all the way across, had to cover the whole goal, had to make like a really big stop with her body, sliding to the ground. And then there's literally nobody on the back post. And Macario did a great job finding the spot and then putting it in.
Yeah, and do you think that's something, because I agree that especially in that first half, Alyssa Thompson and Michelle Cooper were so dangerous out wide. Their
Mm-hmm.
crossing was so good, and we're gonna get to that second goal and talk about the crossing more in a second. Is that something we would have scouted? Like, we're really utilizing our 7-11s, our outside forwards, and trying to play them down into that channel because we would have scouted that China's back line could easily get pulled too far across?
I mean, that's definitely something that I hope Emma is investing in good enough scouts to see that kind of stuff. But in general, I also think that USA has been kind of playing that way for the last however many months since Emma's been in charge. Last time we talked, we noticed that we'd been playing up the sidelines and it was really dangerous getting those players in behind and then giving them the opportunity, giving them the go ahead, say, hey, go at that back, go at that outside back and
Yeah.
make stuff happen.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that China didn't scout us and say, hey, this is where they're really dangerous. Let's bring players into that
Numbers
space to
back,
slow them
yeah.
down. Exactly. So that was really interesting.
That is super interesting, and I think like another piece of this, you're totally right to say that's the way we've been playing, and I think especially when we're talking about our depth of forwards, we of course everybody's talking about triple espresso, Mal Swanson, Sophia Wilson, Trinity Rodman, who are not in camp and haven't really been together in camp since the Olympics. I was like expecting, not having those three quote starter forwards from the Olympics who were responsible for, I think, 8 of our 10 goals at the Olympics. Would that maybe we'd have a drop off in the forward performance, but we haven't at all. I feel like the forwards that are in camp are really stepping up and filling that and still providing the strength of that front line, especially out wide. Alyssa Thompson is coming up huge. Michelle Cooper had a great game for somebody, especially who's been out injured. Cat Macario looked good. There's Lynn Biondolo. There's Ali Setnor. There's Emma Sears. There's so many options who are really, I think, filling a gap that has been also left open. We talked about this with the goalkeeper position as well. I'm talking about Alyssa Thompson, who in the 35th minute used her speed kind of out of nowhere to chase down what was a long ball, but it seemed like the defender was going to get it. But Alyssa Thompson just got right in front of her, then beats her defender and like pings across to Cat Macario, who's kind of wide open. All she has to do is take a perfect touch and then just lay it centrally for Sam Coffey.
All she has to do is take a perfect touch.
The ball was pinged at her. The ball was pinged at her. So this perfect touch, very simple, very easy in the box, no big deal. But then the other thing I want to say is Cat's layoff to Sam Coffey. This resulted in the second goal. If there's like a bobble in that layoff, if the ball is bouncing weird or has a weird spin on it, it's not easy for Sam to finish it. But Cat, perfect touch, perfect pass. Sam can calmly bend it in with her left foot. Alyssa Thompson obviously did a lot of work to set this up, but Kat's positioning, her touch, the pass were clutch. Sam's finish was like very veteran to me.
Mm-hmm.
Kat and Alyssa have both been involved in both of these goals so far. Kling, I want to talk about Kat for a second. What do you think she brings as a 9 as a player in the box, as a player back to goal. What do you think she brings particularly that this team needs and can really utilize?
I truly feel like her brains are what set her apart. Obviously, she has all of the pieces. She's fast, she's strong, she's technical, she understands tactics, but the way that she moves is really smart. Sometimes we talked about Hutton last time we were on here and just how smart she is. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
she moves like away from the play to open up space. Macario does that same thing, but she does it in the box. So if you
Mm,
watch her, a lot of players, they'll get in the box. They're like, okay, now I need to make a front post run. Boom, they'll make it. Or I need to make a back post run. Boom, I'll make the back post run. But that's them always running forward, if that makes sense. Cat sometimes will just like take a look around, back up into a space and be like, this space needs to be filled. And that's what she did on that goal. She was just like, oh, I'm going to sit in this space because it's open. So
that kind of reminds me of Tobin Heath.
true, yeah, truly, truly, yeah. Tobin was really good at that.
Yeah, like just the way you're describing it, I would be, and I'm not trying to like down myself at all, but it's just like I was like a power forward. I was like, I'm crashing in. Like, if we need to run in the box, like I'm running forward full steam ahead. Whereas a player like Tobin, you're right, can like a player like Cat take a breath. Maybe I just need to take half a step to the left or take a half a step back. I don't necessarily need to crash in. And I find that like a really interesting, like almost counter to such like forwards who are so good 1v1, so fast going forward, so powerful, like with the ball. I love that Cat is offering like that kind of different layer.
Oh, 100%. And it's something that this team desperately needs because we have so many great players and a lot of really smart players. Don't get me wrong. And they are very much eyes on the prize. Let's go forward 100% as much as we can, which that's great. You need those players. And you need players like Kat, which are able to be like, I'm just going to look around and I'm going to sit in this space. It's like what Messi does a lot of times where he'll just like kind of look around, be like, oh, this space is open. A lot of people look at him and are like, oh, he's not really moving, but like
Yeah.
he's letting other people move and sitting in the places where he can take the biggest advantage of the other team. And
Yeah.
that's what Cat does.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like such an awesome way of thinking about it, and I'm gonna now really watch for this, especially in the game on Tuesday if Cat's playing again, to just see the ways in which she's maybe doing something smarter in the box rather than just like running forward. I want to have a moment with for Alyssa Thompson as well. Her speed, 1v1 ability, her vision, and then to just ping that ball to Cat like that, I'm like, that was a cross that could have just been a blind cross, but she picked Cat out and played it right to her feet. I also really like that the front three seemed super interchangeable. Like I noticed that those two first goals both came from the right hand side, but one was
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Cooper and one was Alyssa Thompson. And there was a time that Cat Macario was like down playing the six, which was wild, but like that kind of flexibility can be a real nightmare to defend, especially if you're like creating numbers up situations in unexpected places. So I think I want to know, Kling, we've kind of already touched on this, but if you're China, you go into halftime, are you going to keep playing this really high line or are you going to make some like tactical changes?
I wouldn't have. I would have been like, listen, we're getting absolutely exposed over the top. One, they're bringing numbers all around in areas where we're getting exposed. Midfield's not tracking runners into the back line. And I think we need to just like play a five back and just like plug up holes. Because honestly, I really feel like USA could have done even more
Yeah.
damage. And because their crossing was really great and they were just off by maybe like just the smallest amount, or there was a great slide tackle at the end, or there was just things that prevented them, or they were just offside, those type of things.
Yeah.
So it could have been an even bigger blowout. I feel like China got a little bit lucky, but it was really fun to watch the interchange of the players and just see how much it threw off China because they were like, oh, this player's coming here, and then they're trying to be like worried about that one, and then one sliding in behind their back shoulder, and you're like, oh crap,
Yeah.
there's this person here. And that was really fun to see USA do that because I haven't really seen that like in the Vladko years. it wasn't really working for them. And now being able to see like this more free flow of movement is kind of the USA that I've always wanted to see play at the highest level. And I feel like we're getting there.
Yeah, I do think that like Emma's like preferred player profile is versatile, is somebody like even seeing Cat like check all the way down to play the 6. I'm not suggesting Cat play the 6, but like somebody who's comfortable getting the ball anywhere on the field. Alyssa Thompson running all the way across the field. It just is, like you said, this more free flowing and like versatile style that really challenges the opponent. I was also surprised that China didn't drop off more. Just playing such a high back line and leaving so much space against us and against those forwards just didn't seem like a recipe for success. I was kind of listening to the commentary. Maybe they were saying that China's coach didn't want to be that kind of team. And I like respect that.
And
but if
yeah.
you want to win, you should maybe consider like any method to win, I would say.
100%. I mean, I always go back to, do you remember that random year that Chelsea was like not very good on the men's side and they won because they would sit in and they would just play the ball over to the top to Drogba and he would like take on the entire rest of the team 1v1 and score, and they won the Champions League that way? It was like 2014. It was a really long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say specifically I remember, but I'm sure Chelsea fans do.
I'll never forget that. I was like, this is outrageous. I cannot believe in this day and age that this still works, but it does. And so I'm surprised that China wasn't able to like, the sign of one of the best teams in the world is being able to be flexible, being able to adapt and use tactics in games that are needed and be able to like change tactics at halftime. Like that's the sign of a great team. And I just don't think China's there. And so if you're not there, then you have to be able to like figure out a strategy. Exactly. Figure out a strategy where you can stay in the game.
Yeah. And like, I guess to be fair, once we got these 2 goals, it's halftime. I was kind of like, if China doesn't change, we're going to get 4 more goals, but we didn't. We came back out. China didn't really change, but we only ended up scoring 1 more goal. It was like 8 or 9 minutes into the second half. Cat Macario, I think, like flicked on a ball, one in midfield. Michelle Cooper took it down the right-hand sideline again, crossed it to a wide open Lindsay Heaps. This was the kind of goal where like the ball's in the air and you're like, oh, this is a goal kind of before you even know it's going to Lindsay, just because it was so wide open.
Right.
And this is like another moment for our crossing, a great finish by Lindsay, who I think was like pretty solid today. Did you notice anything else like particular about this one?
Honestly, it's the same exact thing. Like China's
right-hand side
outplayed. The center back had to come out again. The other center back slid across. Lindsay came in. It's so hard. I think you know this as a center midfielder, but like it is so hard for back lines to pick up a midfield run into the box because they're not starting high, they're starting low. And so when you're coming in from that deep position and then coming into the box, it's like, okay, who's going to pick that up? And if a midfielder isn't tracking it to a certain point, then it's really hard for an outside back or a center back to be able to pick that up, especially when you're already out of position.
Yeah.
So that was like, there was just no, like, China was just in a real deep hole.
Yeah, they were. And I mean, at this point, it's like, we're getting to be midway through the second half. It's 3-0. We start making some changes, which I'm excited to talk about them. These 2 players with the impeccable crossing that we've been talking about all show, Alyssa Thompson and Michelle Cooper, get subbed out for Emma Sears and Ali Setnor. Emma Sears having a great start to her NWSL season with Louisville. She scored 5 goals already. She earned this call up after she wasn't called into the last camp. So I was excited to see Emma Sears out there. Ali Setnor only has 1 goal for Utah this season. Everybody knows how much I love Ali Setnor. Utah only has 1 win on the year so far. And Kling, I kind of wanted to take a minute here to just go back to this transition from club to country. For a player who's maybe playing on more of a struggling club team, how do you think they are adjusting to the national team level, like both mentally and I guess like physically, tactically? Do you think it's harder to adjust from a team that's struggling to the national team?
Oh, big time. Yeah, I think it's really hard, especially when like Utah doesn't have any flow right now. I think
Mm.
one of the biggest indicators of success for a player is like how they create flow and how they can fit into flow. And if you're not feeling any flow on your club team, you're not going to bring it with you into the national team. And truly, flow is really important because once you like take out a piece in the lineup of flow and you put somebody in that's not going to continue it, it can break down the whole attack or the way that you defend. So I think that has to be really hard for Senor because I also am a really big fan of her. I
Yeah.
feel like her dribbling ability, her tactical ability, the way she slips passes in behind is second to none, and she's so young.
I
And
know.
we just didn't get to see that from her today. And she didn't turn when she could turn, and typically she is always turning, even with pressure on her back. So I just don't think we saw her and what she can do. And then you have to think about the mental piece too. Being on a losing team really like
He's
can
like kind of heavy.
it's super heavy. It's like hard losing all the time. So then you're just like bringing that into the national team and you're just like, dang, I don't remember what it feels like to win and what it feels like to flow. And you got to figure it out really fast because you only have what, 7 to 10 days in camp.
Yeah. I think that's totally fair. I think it does seem a lot easier. We're going to talk about LaBonta in just a second, who's on Kansas City, who are crushing it. She's coming into camp full of confidence. And we're also going to talk about Avery Patterson, who's playing for Houston, who are also, up and down, struggling a little bit. I'm interested to talk about her. I think she's been strong for Houston. She was strong tonight. I want to talk more about that. A couple other substitutions we're going to talk about low. Around the 70th minute, Emily Sams came on, who plays for Orlando, who are also having a solid season, though some losses that are uncharacteristic of them. Lynn Biondolo comes on the field, and LaBonta, the oldest player to debut for the U.S. Women's National Team in program history. This was a really cool moment to see Lo make this debut. Obviously, we're kind of talking about this, transition, this like stepping from club to country. Lo is doing great. Kansas City is doing great. Lo has been on this journey in the NWSL for like 10 years. Kling, I think she's 32. What do you make of her getting called in right now and her whole journey to get here?
They need to make a whole Lifetime movie about this or something, or an ESPN 30 for 30, because it is so cool. It is so cool because once you're kind of passed over for the national team, especially in the past, it feels like you're just passed over. And there's really nothing that you can do, no matter how well you play, to get back in. And so for Emma to bring in a player who a lot of people would write off because of her age is really amazing. And I feel like it's such a testament to the hard work that she's been putting in Kansas City,
Yeah.
the grind that she's been on. It's been fantastic to watch. And I'm just like really happy for her. And I feel like it shows that what you do in the NWSL matters, which is the way that it should be. So seeing that like rewarded is really heartening. And I think that's a great uh like sign for any player being like,
Yeah.
hey, oh my gosh, if I do well enough, it doesn't matter who I am, how old I am, it doesn't matter which team I'm on, I can get called up because I think that just shows that. And that hasn't really happened before.
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly with Lo being the oldest player to make her debut, I think we've seen like a couple of other players who came to mind when this was happening for me were like McCall Zerboni, and then
Mm.
even my sister Christy, who was in with the national team and then wasn't in for years, and then came back when she was maybe around Lo's age and ends up making that 2021 roster for the Olympics, the 2023 World Cup roster. I think it's really cool and, to your point, really inspiring for other players in the league to be like, no matter how old I am, if I play well here, I am getting looked at. And I do just want to quickly say about Lo specifically, in my limited experience being on her team, like if you're playing a game in training, you need Lo on your team. Like Lo's team wins the game. It could be a race to get the most passes. It could be a small sided tournament. It could be something stupid. Lo's team wins. And I think that says so much about her competitiveness and like she wants to win. And that, if anything, is the US Women's National Team mentality. So it was really cool to see Lo get this opportunity, and I'm excited
Totally.
for her. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. I learned it. I mean, we were on the same team in Kansas City the year that I like was injured and didn't really play. So I watched a lot of training and I was like, Lo wins. Like whatever it is, Lo's winning.
That's what I wish people would say about me. Like that is like literally the best thing that you could say about a player, in my opinion.
I know it is. And I like don't say it lightly. I just was like, wow, like she's doing whatever it takes. I also was excited, Kling, to see Emily Sams get an opportunity. I feel like Emily Sams has been in camp a lot, but is kind of like accumulating caps slower than some of these other newcomers, which is fair as a center back. I think the back line is like a lot harder to sub into. But as somebody who felt like I went into a lot of camps and didn't play hardly at all, I'm curious what your experience was like in your early days on the national team. Did you get caps right away or did you like ride the bench for a while?
No, stuff was real different when I first came on the national team. Shit got weird. I came in when Pia Suntaka was the coach, and she literally, I don't know if you remember this, but she literally played the same exact starting lineup every single time for like 5 years straight.
Yeah, I do
It
recall.
was nuts. So me and Becky Sauerbrunn came in at about the same time. She was maybe like 10 months ahead of me.
Uh-huh.
And she got like her first cap and then was like riding the bench till I came in January camp. And then I came in a January camp, was like fresh out of my senior year of college. I go in, I'm like doing my best, playing my hardest. And they're like, okay, we're going to name the roster for China. So they're like, okay, Kling, come to China with us. And I'm like, yes. So I go to China. And it's literally still to this day the worst trip of my life that I've ever taken on a national team. I was just like so nervous, and it just wasn't a good trip. But I did get my first cap there. I also got my second cap, and then me and Becky did not earn another cap for 2 years. So they cap tied us and literally left us on the bench, sometimes in the stand.
Oh
For
yeah.
2 years.
I've watched more games, more US Women's National Team games from like the box than from the bet. Like I was up there for years. And
Oh,
came on the team later than you, and I do feel like I remember a couple times just being like, there are players in their first camp and they're starting every game, and I'm still in the stands. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, do I even belong here? But it's so funny to hear you talk about this because I do remember I was, off to this slow start in my career with the national team. And I remember Jill saying to me, you should talk to Becky because Becky, you guys are having this, like, Becky had to wait her turn for so long.
yeah.
And I remember that. And so it's so funny to hear you now like validate that and say that, even though of course I have talked to Becky about it. It's super interesting, but I feel like we started talking about this because of Emily Sams.
Yeah, sorry,
And
Emily Sams.
no,
We're
I'm
coming
so
back to
glad.
you.
I'm so glad we brought it to where it went. But I guess I'm curious, like, what would you say to Emily Sams if I don't know if I don't know her yet, if she's disheartened or what, like she is getting opportunities to go into camp, which is amazing. But what would you say to a player about like patience with the national team?
I would just say keep getting minutes with your club team, keep dominating there and learning and doing the best that you can. And then when you get into the national team, I would just say take a breath, be you, because I feel like a lot of times these players come in and they're so hyped and they're so tense, right? This is my chance. Like, this is what I've been waiting for my entire life. Yes. And, like, you're good. You've done everything that you need to do. You could literally put your body out there, and because you've been training so much, you don't need to think one time, and your body could literally do it in its sleep.
Yeah.
Because you've been doing this for so long, you know exactly what to do. So just don't worry about anything else. Just step out there and have fun and just see what happens. Because sometimes you just don't have control over things. And that's just the way that life and soccer is. And you need to find the moments that have meaning for you and the moments that are fun for you, and find them whenever they can, because sometimes they can be like a long time in between
Like 2
moments.
years.
Yeah, so you need to like find it when you can, and kind of like just relax into the camp, because it's either going to happen or it's not, but you worrying about it is not going to make a difference.
I mean, pretty great advice from Nathan is calling you Coach Kling now, and I really love that. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the game. Lindsay subs off. She gives
Yep.
Naomi the armband. And we were told this week from Emma Hayes that Naomi is vice captain, and this is amazing. Naomi absolutely deserves this. I know Naomi, just a little bit from overlapping with her, but everybody who speaks about Naomi speaks about what a great leader she is, what a great person she is, how fun she is to be around. So I think this is like an exciting glimpse into the future. But I also feel like, Kling, we're in this unique transition time. Like, in Miracle, the hockey movie, when all the guys are saying what college they play for, and the coach is like, no, like, I'm trying to get you to say that you play for the United States of America. Yes, literally, exactly. Kling is pointing to her back, pointing to her front. It's about the name in the front, not the name in the back. I love it.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm getting this vibe from the players. It's that we are being introduced to these players in their national team uniforms, in their national team identities. We're still identifying them as Alyssa Thompson, who plays for Angel City, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's an interesting transition because the generation who came before this generation were known as U.S. women's national team players. You, Becky, Pino, Alex Morgan. Like, we thought of those players as U.S. women's national team players first. And so I think as we're like going through this period where this baton is being passed, how can leaders like Lindsay Heaps and Naomi Girma make sure that the national team mentality, the thing that has always made this team special, has always made this team what it is and so iconic, continues to have that level of like cultural significance that we have come to associate with the players on this team?
That's such a good question. I feel like there's so much good things to take through from my generation, from the generation before, from your generation, Sam, and bring it forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a lot of stuff to let go. From my generation, I feel like there was 20 spots and it was cutthroat. Like, there was 20 spots in the country for women to play soccer professionally without having to have another job. 20, that's it, for millions of women. And so those spots were cutthroat and people acted like it. And I can't blame them. Like, that's their livelihood, that's their dream. And now we were able to create a world where more women can play without having to worry about having a second job. Like, how cool is that? That's the thing. So I'm happy that they get to let that go. And now that we've created that world, it's like it's become a little bit more individual in terms of like your brand and how you go about making your money. And that's totally great. Like, I want people to make their money and I want people to create lasting generational wealth for themselves and for their family. Like, that is the goal for women, because that will change the face of and the landscape of soccer for everybody. And that will be a good thing. I hope all of that continues. And it's like, to your question, how do we still keep that culture though, where when it says USA on the front, we're playing for something bigger? And one of the things that I was most proud of my group, of your group, is standing up for what is right, standing up for human rights and human liberties, and creating a space where things are not necessarily equal, but more equal than they used to be. And if you're lucky, you create a bigger change in your lifetime than these little steps forward. And I think we actually did that with equal pay. So I want players to be able to remember like how hard we fought for equality, how hard we fight for human rights, how hard we fight for creating a better playing field for everybody, because that's something bigger than yourself. And that's what it means to put USA on the front of the jersey. And if you remember that, then I think that name on the back becomes a bit more insignificant, and you play for something that means a lot to a lot of people everywhere. And
Yeah.
to me, that's one of the ways that you have to remember. It can be easy to lose that, especially when you feel like, hey, this is a pretty good life now, which is great. I'm so happy people have a great life. And also, there was a lot that went into that to make it this world for everybody. And we are so proud that we did it. And we want people to enjoy it however they want to enjoy it. And it's about making sure that people remember that there are really important things in this world that the women's national team represents. And when you put on the jersey, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. That was like such a beautiful and amazing answer. And I'm so glad I asked you that question. And it reminds me of when we won the World Cup in 2019 and I saw the fourth star above the crest. And it was in that moment. I mean, I went through that journey and I did a lot of thinking about like my last name and what that means for my family that I was there and I was on that team and we won. But in that moment, when I realized that a star that I had helped the team earn was going to be on that crest forever now, that fourth star, I was a part of that. And like, it was the symbolism of the crest and of the front of the jersey that meant so much to Impact. And I think that that emotion that I felt in that moment really kind of like is the same as what you're talking about. It's like this team is bigger than any one person. And I think looking to the leaders of the team to continue to make sure that that gets passed on. I like really trust that these players will and can pass that on. And just as the same way that it was passed down to me from players like you. So I'm super excited for the future. That was a really beautiful answer, Kling, and thank you for sharing that. Overall, good win for the team. Goals from Cat, Sam, Lindsay. First cap for LaBonta. Congratulations. Lots of opportunities for these young players to have a chance to shine. Particularly, I thought Alyssa Thompson and Michelle Cooper. But we have reached the very exciting part of the show where we get to hear from you, our listeners. So one more time, if you're going to join us here live on YouTube, scan the QR code in the top left of your screen. I think there's also a pinned comment in the chat you can click on. You'll go into the Zoom with our producer, Sophie. I can already see that Avery's here. I'm literally so excited. Sophie will tell you everything you need to know. You're not going to be on screen. And if you don't want to ask a question, if you are too shy, just do us a huge favor. Give us a like. It helps us more than you know. Make sure you're subscribed to this page. Okay, Avery, you know the drill. When I call your name, take yourself off mute. Tell us where you're from, but we already know everything about you, Avery. And then you can ask your question.
Hi, Avery.
Hi, Sam Kling.
Hi.
My question, what does the communication between the defense and goalkeeper help on set pieces and the flow of the game? And what's your favorite summer activity?
Wow, Avery, what a great question. I was just thinking and laughing, like, what if it was another Avery? And we were like, Avery, our favorite caller, welcome back. And they were like, oh my God, I don't know you guys. Kling, okay, talk to us about the communication between the defense and the goalkeeper on set pieces.
Super important. So, one of the most important aspects about a backline's like movement and who to mark is coming from the goalkeeper because they can see the entire field. And even though a goalkeeper is on high alert during a set piece, like they're the number one person doing most of the movement, but they're the one that's setting everything up. They're the one that's creating the, the like where the wall is going to go, who's going to be stepping to the ball, who's going to be taking marks. They're the point person on pretty much everything with set pieces. And essentially we rely on them like so much for our positioning, even in the run of play. So it's a really important relationship. And if a goalkeeper's not using their voice, then it's a huge disadvantage for your team.
For sure. I totally agree. Avery, that was such a great question. Kling, I think Avery's follow-up for us is what's your favorite summer activity? And Avery, I'm going to go either swimming in the lake or popsicles.
Well, those are both really great. What kind of popsicles?
You know what? I have kind of a hot take on this. I hope people approve root beer popsicles.
Oh, I love those.
Oh my God, they're so good.
But I'm a huge root beer fan, so like I'm gonna do anything root beer.
I know, so good. What's your favorite? Is root beer your favorite popsicle, Kling?
You know what? I really like those fudgesicles or like those orange creamsicles. I'm kind
Yeah.
of obsessed with those.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
sounds
those are where it's
bomb.
at. Yeah,
Avery,
those are where it's at.
what's your favorite summer activity?
I like swimming too.
Nice.
I
Well,
do swim team in my neighborhood.
that's amazing. I really love that. I love swimming. Kling, did you give us your favorite summer activity?
No, I don't think I did. Let's see. You know what? That's a really hard one because I am like obsessed with the sun. I don't know how I lived in Portland for the 9 years that I did. So I lived for the summer there, but I just spend absolutely every single one of my minutes outside, and I don't really care what I'm doing.
Love that.
Yeah.
Avery, MVP as always. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thanks, Avery.
Sam,
Bye, Avery.
I made a trophy
Sorry.
that said #1 caller on it.
You made it for yourself?
Yes.
Avery, I love that. Avery, can you email us a picture of that?
I posted it on my Instagram and tagged you.
Okay. All right. We're on it.
Self-love's important, Avery.
Avery, you are the #1 caller. Thank you so much for calling in.
Truly.
We'll talk to you on Tuesday, I hope.
Yep, I'll be here.
Okay, we'll talk to you then. Thanks, Avery. Okay, we are going to sadly move on from Avery, but I am very excited for our next caller. Nat, can you take yourself off mute? Tell us where you're from and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Nat. I live in Nashville, and I have a two-part question relating to soccer and dogs. So the first part is, who would be your strongest starting 11 prediction for 2027? And then the second part is, what dog breed would you be if you were a dog?
Easy.
Kling?
Well, I mean, you do the starting 11. I
Oh
want
yeah,
the dog.
I figured you would do the starting 11 and I would do the
No,
dog.
no, I want the dog. I'm the guest.
Let's do the dog first, and then maybe everybody will forget about the starting 11 prediction. I would want to be a Cavapoo like my dog Finn. I love my dog Finn, and I just want to be the same thing as him. And I just want to like bark at each other and like run around in the grass together.
Cute. I love it.
Yeah.
Cavapoos are so cute.
Oh, I could be a golden retriever.
Yeah,
I like love that you said that about me. Kling is a golden retriever too.
Okay, James, listen. Love that and no. And no.
What are you?
I'll tell you, my girlfriend, she always says that I'm a Pomeranian. And we have 2 Pomeranians, so we know them really well. We say the Pomeranians have 2 modes. And
Yap.
excuse me. No. It's love me or get off my lawn. And that is me.
That's you. Oh my God. That actually like is you.
Small body, huge personality, a little bit furry.
Oh my gosh, Kling, that's really, really great. I do still kind of see us both as golden retrievers, but your Pomeranian explanation for yourself was great.
Thank you.
Nat, I don't want to totally ignore your first question about the starting 11
Truly.
prediction for
Yeah,
2027.
sorry, Nat.
It is such a hard question. It's such a hard question. I don't even really know where to begin. I think some safe bets for me include Naomi Girma. Obviously, she has been on and off injured throughout the spring, but I think that, you know, seeing her take this transition into a leadership role, knowing when she is in top form, just how good she is, how important she is to this team, I think that she's a pretty safe bet. Other than that, it's honestly is a really hard question. We don't know who's going to be fit. We don't know who's going to be in form. And I think that the just amount of like opportunity that's available for these players right now is kind of the most exciting part about the next couple of years.
Yeah, there's too many players that are like not available for selection right now to be able to even begin on that. And even if they were, that's still 2 years away. So I feel like and players can grow so much in 2 years as well. So I just think like let's have fun with it, Nat. Keep an open mind and see what happens.
That's a great answer, Kling. I do see Dawn in Memphis. Hi, Dawn in Memphis. Dawn in Memphis is our other most loyal listener. Dawn, we love you so much. Dawn is suggesting Heaps, Sonnet, Lavelle, Girma, says macaroni, I assume meant Macario, and coffee. Those are all really solid options as well. I saw somebody earlier had also mentioned Croy Bethune, who I am very hopeful and excited to see back in this roster, hopefully really soon. I think Emily Fox is another one that did not get named yet. That
Oh,
Emily Fox,
truly, yeah.
such a staple for this team. So I'm super excited for her to be back. Of course, Foxy just won Champions League with Arsenal. So I think maybe she was just resting a little bit today. I know for one, if I won Champions League a week ago, I would need a little bit of rest as well for a multitude of reasons. Truly. Nat, I did my best. I know we didn't really crush the starting 11 question, but I did end up naming a few people, didn't I?
Yeah, that was good. Thank you.
Truly,
I know you didn't have time. I know you didn't have time to prepare.
I know. Nat's like, you stink, Sam. I will try to put some more thought into it. Nat,
you know what I want to see though? A Mewis sister after she wins Champions League. That's what I want to see. A Mewis sister after the Champions League.
All right. Well, it looks like that's up to Christy. Christy has got to join a Champions League contending team.
I mean, you all know how to celebrate a win. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. We do. That would be super fun. Okay. Nat, thank you so much for calling. We loved that. Okay. We're going to take one or two more callers. We are just taking our sweet time with the callers today because the questions have been so good. So, David, do you want to take yourself off mute and tell us where you're from?
Oh my gosh. Hi. Can you hear me, first of all?
Hi, David.
Hi. Yeah. So I'm currently in the state of Illinois. And first, before I forget, Sam, congratulations on being an auntie. That is just a big happiness. And
Thank you.
Meghan Klingenberg, you are such a legend. I remember the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup when you made that amazing goal line clearance against Sweden. Just insane, and just another example of why defense is so important to a winning championship team. Now, with this awesomeness, now inspired of these amazing, cool jerseys, what has to be your favorite all-time kits of all time that you've either worn or you've seen on TV that you're just like, I need to buy this, take all my money, I need this jersey right now?
Wow.
Well, I love this question. And by the way, I also love the flattery. Thank you so much.
Kling, the goal line clearance was incredible. I remember that so fondly as well. Dawn in Memphis is back, also referencing it. Favorite all-time kit? I've been asked this question before. I think in the past I have said, surprise, surprise, is this the popsicle show? The one that looked like a popsicle?
The bomb pop?
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. I loved the bomb pop.
So did I.
Oh my God, it was such a good one.
It was such a good one. Did you see actually England's new kits that they just wore yesterday?
I probably have, but I don't remember it right now.
Those were cool. Those were like a white base, but they had that. I mean, they weren't similar to the bomb pop ones, but they had like a red, white, and blue thing going on. That it would make great USA kits, but those were cool. I like some color on there. I like some color.
Yeah, same. I do like the new pinstripe.
Oh, the new pinstripe is actually sick.
Yeah, it's really dope.
I really, really like that. David, what a great question. Do you have an all-time favorite kit?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I always think back to the 2018-2019 season where they had like the stripes where it was like red and blue and some type of like gradient pattern, and that was like blue stripes, which was so cool and sleek because it reminded me of like the Where's Waldo like uniforms.
Yeah.
It was such an iconic time. And
I loved those Waldo
like, these
kids.
news kids. Oh yeah, the Waldo kids they're very iconic. They're definitely like the mainstay of Team USA jerseys.
Yeah, those were really sick. David, well, I love this question. Thank you for complimenting us both, and thank you for calling in. We so appreciate hearing from you. We are going to take just one more, and I am going to ask Maya to come off mute. Maya, I think you were on our last live, but I didn't get to your question, so I wanted to make sure I got to it today.
Hi, Sam and Meg. First of all, yes, I was.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm glad I got it now.
Amaya from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Home of Rose Lavelle.
I know. I do got a little fun fact. My family has season tickets to SEC, and her moral is right outside where we go to our seats.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh my gosh,
cool.
amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah, I had just edit. My question is for the U.S. women's national team. How do they pick who's going to be on the fun videos like on YouTube, like BFF quizzes and that stuff?
Oh my gosh, how fun are the BFF quizzes? Honestly, usually for just like straight up US soccer content, one of the people who makes the content, usually it's this guy named Aaron Heifetz, who's like the head of all US soccer media for literally the entire time the team has existed, will just come up to you or text you and ask if you want to do some content, if you want to make some videos. Sometimes you say no, like if you're not having a good day or you're not having a good camp and you're not feeling particularly giggly, you say no. But sometimes you say yes, and then you end up getting to make something really cute and fun. Kling, I made this video with US Soccer called So You Think You Know Sam, and it was like 5 of my closest friends on the team and Christy and like Abby Dahl Kemper and Rose, and they had to like answer questions, like very simple questions about me. And it was like actually like one of the funniest things I've ever done. I'm like so proud of it.
And how did they do?
They did like shockingly bad. Like even Christy, like I think Christy like forgot my birthday or something. And I was like,
Christy.
yeah.
Sam, she forgot basically everything.
Yeah, no, I know. But watching them back is like actually so funny.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Do you remember anything specific, Kling, that you made with US Soccer that was good?
Absolutely not, no.
Kling was like, no, Hype, I'm not doing this today.
I feel like, you know what was actually pretty good? Those like stories they did, the 23 stories before the World Cup.
Those were good.
Those were really good. And I think Gwen was her name, who Oxen something or another, who like dug into your story with you and like asked you a bunch of questions, and then they like told this whole story. And I think for my year they like digitized it into a cartoon, and it was actually really cool.
Oh, that was probably for 2015.
Yeah, that was really cool, to be honest. Like that was one of the best things they've ever done.
That is really cool. I'm also reading in the chat, me and Rose, this is the last story I'm going to tell everybody, and then I'm going to let you go. I promise. Me and Rose did like one of the best friend quizzes. And before, this is actually so funny. Before we did the test, we said, if there's a Harry Potter question in here, just put that the answer is Harry. Like we cheated. So then there was a Harry Potter question, and the question was, if you were a Harry Potter character, who would you be? But I like naturally like would never have said Harry. So I like forgot that we made this arrangement, and I wrote down that I would be Hagrid. And Rose obviously wrote down Harry because that was what we agreed upon. So that when we both turned the boards around, she was like, why did you write Hagrid? We agreed.
That's so messed up, Sam. And also explain Hagrid.
I don't know, Kling. I just thought it was funny to be like, I'm like a big.
That's outrageous.
It was like actually one of like we were crying in the chair. I like actually truly encourage everybody to go back and like search this on YouTube. They're so funny. So honestly, shout out to US Soccer for making some of those. Those will be those are in the memory vault.
Yeah, those will be good to dig up.
Oh my God. Okay, Maya, incredible question. I'm so glad I got to you today. Thank you so much for calling back.
Thank you for letting me on.
Of course. Oh my gosh. I know I didn't get to a few other callers, but thank you so much for being here. Please come back on Tuesday because we are doing this again after the second game. So thank you all so much for calling in. We really actually couldn't make the show without you. Your calling in is such a huge part of it. So I'm so glad that you were all here. Kling, just to wrap things up, what did you make of this game overall, and what are you looking for the team to maybe implement or add on Tuesday against Jamaica?
My favorite thing about the game, which we didn't get to talk about much, was just the relentless pressure that the USA came with. And I felt like because of that, and they're like everybody was front-footed because of that, they were able to win the ball really high up the field, and then were able to attack from spots where they have to beat 6 defenders instead of 11. that was really fun for me to watch. And I hope we continue that forward, because I don't care who you're playing, whether it's Spain, whether it's China, whether it doesn't matter. It will be so hard for teams to be able to deal with that. And anytime you can win the ball higher up the field, it's just easier attacking.
Yeah.
So to me, that was the most fun to watch, was just seeing the commitment to that relentless pressure front-footed.
Yeah, I love that so much. Well, the U.S. Women's National Team has another game on Tuesday against Jamaica. Before that game, we're dropping our interview with Fallon Joyce. I'm so excited for everybody to hear that. Kling, you're going to have to listen to that one.
I will.
And after the game on Tuesday, we have another TWG Live coming at you with Allie Riley. I'm really excited to do this with her, but Kling, we will miss you, and we hope to have you back very soon. Later next week, Lynn Biondolo is finally back with us on Good Vibes. It's been what seems like forever. That's going to drop on Thursday. So in case you haven't picked up on this yet, Friendlies and Good Vibes are switching days. Friendlies is Tuesday. Good Vibes is Thursday. And then finally on Friday, we have a live show here in Vermont to talk Vermont Green, which is the summer team that I am coaching in a few weeks. I'm so excited. And if you live locally, please get your tickets. There are still some tickets left. All of our podcasts, including that live show, will be available here on YouTube and on our podcast feed. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can also follow along with us across all of our social media at Women's Game MIB. You can even send us an email at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. I would love to hear from you. Kling, thank you so much for doing this with us. It was such a joy.
Thanks for having me. Always fun, Sam.
Well, we will have you back soon. I can't wait. To all of our callers, to the entire team at TWG and MIB, thank you so much. All right, everybody, I'm Sam Mewis. This is the Women's Game. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon.